everyone, my name is Megan Pekarik. I am a web developer here at Livefront, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how the screen reader experience on web changes with accessible versus inaccessible HTML. So why this topic? Since starting at Livefront a couple of years ago, I have learned a ton about accessibility and have become really fascinated by the topic. I started a web accessibility course this year to further deepen my understanding of screen readers and other accessibility tools and how they're used. So I wanted to do this talk to 1, show what the screen reader experience is like in general, 2, some frequently used features on screen readers, and 3, how those features can quickly become useless if we aren't careful about the code that we put out there. So how I'm going to do this is I have 2 websites that look identical to a sighted user. One was built with accessibility in mind, and one very much so was not. I have a few scenarios that I'm going to go through with a screen reader on both the good and the bad site to show you how accessible versus inaccessible HTML changes the screen reader experience. So I'm going to start with headings. I'm going to pull up VoiceOver. I have it muted so it's not talking over me, but you can see in the corner what it's going to be saying as I go through. So for headings, I'm on the bad website. I'm going to pull up the rotor, which is a commonly used feature of the VoiceOver screen reader. And on this website, you can see I have different kinds of trees, and that's the H1, so that one looks good. But then after that, I have a bunch of heading level 3s. You can see the 3 next to it, and VoiceOver will announce that just say information. I have no idea what section of the page I'm going to be going to or what I'm going to be learning about if I go into them. And also you can see that the oak trees and birch trees, those are serving as headings to the sighted user, but they are not actually headings. They're divs styled to look that way, so they don't even show up in our rotor. So now I'm on the good website, and I'm going to pull up VoiceOver and the rotor. And here with the headings, I can see I have the H1 just like I did before, and each of the tree sections are also a heading. So I can see I have that as a heading level 2. And then beneath it, the level 3 heading, it says information on the screen, but it actually says oak tree information for a screen reader because there's an ARIA label on there to provide more clarity on what you would be getting if you went to that heading. So as you can see, you have a heading level 1, a heading level 2, and a heading level 3, and there's no order being skipped here as well. So if this did just say information, a lot of screen readers can infer that they would be getting information about oak trees if they went in there because the heading level 2 above it is oak trees. But further clarity is always good as well. So in summary of headings, we have heading tags. You should always use a proper heading tag if an element is serving as a heading to a sighted user so that it can serve as a heading to a screen reader user as well. So heading style. Never use CSS to style non-heading elements to look like headings. If they are serving as a heading to a sighted user, like I said before, they should be for a screen reader user as well. You should use a heading tag. Heading levels. You should never skip heading levels either. These are frequently used by screen readers to figure out what information goes with what. So if you need to use a specific style, you need an H4 style, you should style your H3 to look like an H4 if that's the heading level that you need to start with. Next up is images. So I'm on the bad website right now, and I'm going to move through with VoiceOver on the different images here. So this image, as you can see in the corner, it says our image source, and it just says unlabeled image, which is very unhelpful. And so that image has no alt tag on it at all. And so screen reader is just doing its best to figure out what that image is doing. This next image says image of birch tree image, as you can see. I'll go back to it. So this alt tag includes the word image. You should never include the word image, picture, or icon in any of your alt text because VoiceOver will recognize that it's an image tag and it will automatically tell you that it's an image, and redundancy becomes annoying for screen readers. So the last one that I have here is alt text that is very, very long. This makes it difficult for screen reader users to move efficiently through a page. You want to give the information that a sighted user gets from an image to the screen reader user, but you want to do it as concisely as possible. So I'm on the good website now, and I'm going to go and show you the alt text that we are using for the oak trees. As you can see here, we are giving trying to give the screen reader user the information that a sighted user would be getting from this image. So the information on the left would presumably be giving the user some specific information about oak trees, and the image would be showing some of that information. So this is me doing my best to figure out what that alt text should be. So to summarize image alt text, inclusion, you should always include image alt text, even if it's just an empty string, because an empty string for alt text tells a screen reader that the image is purely decorative and it will completely skip over it instead of trying to give the user the source of your image. Wording, you should try to avoid redundancy. Never include the word image, icon, or picture in alt text so that screen reader users don't have to hear it twice in a row. And then length, lastly, try to keep alt text under about 150 characters so that screen reader users can get the information from the image while still efficiently moving through the site. Next, we have landmarks. So I'm going to start with the good example for landmarks because I feel like it makes more sense. So if I pull up the rotor here and I go to landmarks, I can see there's a banner, there's navigation, and there's main. And a lot of screen reader users will use this to pop into the section that they're most interested in, and so they don't have to read over the entire navigation and all of that. So here I am on the bad website now, and I can see there is not even a landmarks option inside of the rotor because this page does not contain any landmarks. So any screen reader users that use that frequently wouldn't even have that option here. So to summarize landmarks, all text within the page should be within a landmark so that a screen reader user that uses the landmarks to navigate through the page won't miss any text on the web page. The most frequently used landmarks are header, main, nav, and footer. Next, we have multiple of the same landmark. If you have two navigations, for example, on your page, you want to use an ARIA label to distinguish them so that somebody using the landmark feature on a screen reader can distinguish between which navigation they want to go to. Next, we have minimal landmarks. You do want to keep your landmarks to a minimum because this list is meant to be short so that users can pop into whatever page they want without scrolling a huge list. Next, we have tab order. So I'm on the bad site right now, and I'm going to move through, and you can see I'm getting the information here, and then I'm getting the image. Next, I come down here to birch trees, and then I'm getting the image first, and then the information. Pine trees, I'm getting the information again first, and then the image. This can be kind of confusing for a screen reader because they're getting swapped information at different times. The reason that the tab order is off here is because the HTML elements are actually physically swapped instead of using CSS to achieve this every other layout. So on the good website, we use CSS to swap the images and the information. So as you can see, I get information, then image, and then when I go to birch trees, I get information and then image, and that's going to be consistent throughout the entire page. So to summarize tab order, always use CSS to alter the order of things on the screen if it's purely for design purposes. You should never move HTML around in order to achieve a certain design. CSS once again. And last, if you have to move HTML around for whatever reason, you should always test with a screen reader to make sure that things are natural for them. Next, we have links. So I'm on the bad website right now, and I'm going to pull up the rotor to see a list of links. And this first one is actually the home link up in the top left corner. It's an image within a link, and there's no alt text on this image. So we get this really unhelpful link that says to get missing image descriptions, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, we have about forest plants. Those are typical for the nav. And then we have a bunch of these learn more links, which are very unhelpful. We have no idea what we're going to be learning more about if we click on this link. So I'm on the good website now, and I have my list of links up here. And you can see that it says home instead of that very unhelpful message. And that's because we have an alt text on that image that just says home. And then we have the rest of the links that were the same as the bad site. And then for the learn more links, we have learn more about oak trees. Even though it says learn more on the site, it looks the exact same. We have an ARIA label on there that says learn more about whatever you're going to be learning about. So to summarize links, if you have an image within a link, you should always set the image's alt text to be whatever that link would say if it were a text link. It should describe where the user is going to be taken. Your link text should always be informative, whatever you're using. If it's link text, ARIA label, or an image alt text, it should describe where the link takes the user. Next, we have consistent text. So I didn't have an example for this one, but if you had, for example, a link on a page that said, get in touch with us, and it goes to your contact page, and then a link on a different page that says, contact us, that goes to your contact page, that could be confusing for a screen reader to have two different link texts that go to the same place. So you should always try to put an ARIA label on there that has consistent text so that screen readers, users know that they're being taken to the same place. And that is all I have for you. Thank you for learning more about the screen reader experience with me.